Hello grade 8 students! Kumusta kayo? I hope that every one of you is safe and doing fine at home. We may be experiencing this pandemic brought by COVID-19, but it doesn't stop us to continue from learning. By the way, I'm Sir Francis Gamboa, your virtual teacher for today. Let me show you something. What is your idea about this picture? Do you know what does it symbolize? Yes, very good. It symbolizes the flag of the LGBTQIA community. Well, we are living in a free country where everything about gender and sexuality are open and accepted. We are very vocal when it comes to their gender and sexuality. They are free to express their thoughts and opinions, and now they are widely accepted by many people in our society. By the way, let me introduce the following most essential learning competencies in today's discussion. Number 1. Discusses the basic terms in sexuality as an important component of one's personality. Number 2. Explains dimension of human sexuality. Number 3. Analyzes the factors that affects one's attitude and practice related to sexuality and sexual behaviors. Number 4. Assesses personal health attitudes that may influence sexual behavior. Let us start the lesson by unlocking the difficulties in giving the definition of the terms concerning the sexuality. First, adolescence. Adolescence is a stage when a person undergoes a lot of changes. Mainly, teenagers experience physical changes that are very noticeable. Some physiological or physical changes may also be noticed, such as the onset of menstruation for the females and the development of the strong or bold voice for the males. Second, human sexuality. Human sexuality may be defined as the degree of manliness and womanliness in one's uniqueness and physical makeup. The way a person behaves, interacts, and expresses himself or herself determines his or her sexuality. Next is sex. Sex is defined as the biological characteristics of being a male or a female as shown by the external and internal reproductive parts. It is determined right away during conception. Genetically, a male or a boy has one X chromosome and one Y chromosome, while a female or a girl has two X chromosomes. Gender will follow. Gender refers to the behavior and attitudes that are supposed to be shown based on a person's sex. It also refers to the roles and activities performed by a person as a male or a female which are appropriately accepted by society. And lastly is gender role. Gender role is often an outward expression of gender identity. It may be described as set of activities appropriately accepted by the society being done or performed by an individual as a male or being a female. Is it now clear to you the definition of terms concerning sexuality? If yes, let us talk about the dimension of sexuality. There are 3 dimensions that affects a person's sexuality, and these are the following. Number 1, biological dimension. It is described by the person's biological or physical sexual characteristic as controlled by the sex chromosomes and the hormones produced by the sexual glands. Number 2, psychological dimension. This is how a person accepts his or her physical characteristics which may affect sexual health. Number 3, socio-cultural dimension. The society surrounding a person greatly contributes to his or her sexuality. It includes family, school, and people from the neighborhood. Different countries have their standard and norms in their sexual practices. Those are the 3 dimensions of sexuality you must understand to know yourself better. Have you ever tried to look at the mirror and ask yourself about who really you are? Did you ever experience something is not normal with the way you feel about yourself and to others? Have you been in a situation where you cannot be able to identify the things that you are feeling because you are feel confused? Well, if that's so, maybe it is time for you to explore more about your sexuality. But how? It is by means of identifying and analyzing the factors that affects your sexuality. Let us start with family. Sexual awareness of most people begins at home with the love and affection given by their parents and siblings. Sexual awareness develops by how the parents treat the children in terms of clothing, toys, games, and hobbies. Gender is strengthened by teaching children how they should behave. Males are taught to be strong and brave. For many, crying is a sign of weakness among males. However, this is not always true. Females are trained to act and speak in feminine ways. Being conservative of some people in topics about sex and reproduction can also be rooted in one's family. Next to family is religion. Sexual attitude and behavior may be greatly influenced by the religious beliefs and doctrines. People differ in their stand on morality because they are bounded differently by their religious and spiritual beliefs. Others would disagree on premarital sex and extramarital sex. Some people would consider masturbation as immoral. Certain religions have a strong conviction on the sanctity of marriage, and so they reject divorce as an option for marital problems. Others find the use of contraceptive methods as sexually immoral. Next is media. Media includes televisions, radio, movies, and printed advertisements, and the widely used World Wide Web. These forms of media are not only meant for public services, they are also a source of information for sexual awareness. Media can influence a person's sexual behavior and practices depending on the type of information or program being presented. Peers and friends is the next. The adolescence period is very difficult for parents because it is the time when the peers and friends would have a lot of influence on their teenage children. The time spent by teenagers in school is considerably longer than at home with parents. Others would socialize with their friends and same-age neighbors even after classes. With the influence adolescents get from their peers, there is a tendency for teenagers to disregard the teachings and advice of their families. They tend to neglect family values and standards just to be accepted by their peers and to be independent. Multiculturalism may also influence one's sexuality. Marriage between couples coming from different countries is no longer a new thing nowadays. Since they came from different countries, they may also have cultural differences, specifically in the matter of sexuality. Some countries will consider abortion as illegal and morally wrong, but in the other countries, it is allowed. There you have it, the factors that may affect a person's sexuality. We may differ from one another. We may have different perspectives when it comes to sexuality. It is much better to accept who you are, embrace your flaws and imperfection, because whatever the color you are waving and raising, we are living in a country with that no one must be judged with his sexuality. Whatever our sexual orientation are, the most important is respect. They say that respect begets respect. With that, let me end up this lesson by saying, be true to yourself and feelings, for that is the key for others to accept you. Again, this is Sir Francis saying God bless and stay safe.